Tonight, what do the film The Hurt Locker, women, and the Iraqi election have in common? Good evening, everyone. I'm Christiane Amanpour, and welcome to the program. It's International Women's Day, and a big day for women across the globe. The first to ever win an Oscar for Best Director is Kathryn Bigelow. She directed The Hurt Locker, a powerful movie about an American bomb squad in Iraq.
Talk to me. Drop the phone! Drop the phone! Hey, phone! I can't get a shot!
And the award came on the same day as the first parliamentary election in Iraq in 5 years, an election with nearly 2,000 female candidates. We'll be talking with an activist in Baghdad who's been working to get more women elected, and we've also gathered an impressive panel to dissect the struggle for equality across the Islamic world. But first, people flocked to the polls in Iraq's latest elections. Final results won't be in until the end of the month, and women are amongst those who are closely watching the outcome. We're joined from Baghdad now by women's rights activist Basma Al-Khatib. Thanks for being with us, Basma.
Thank you, Christian.
So tell me, the election has come and gone, people flocked to the polls. What did it mean for women? Was there a heavy female turnout?
Yes, actually there was, and there was big anticipation also. And during the campaign for the blocks, we've seen lots of posters for women candidates from all blocks, with veil, without veil, with details, mostly professional women. Iraqi women completely sometimes control nearly 60% of each ministry, but they do not have right to be heads of departments. They do not know about legislations or their own right. So I believe that Iraqi women, during this whole struggle, especially after 2003, are really willing to make their mark now, whether voters or candidates.
So tell me, Basma, what then launched this heavy turnout of women? What do they precisely want now after this election?
I think it's hope for change. You see families going, daughters, elder women, participating. Also, they started looking not like 2005 and previous elections. They're not just following who's telling them. They're looking around, they're searching for the history or the bios of the candidates. I'm not saying that it's everywhere, but at least now in our networks of, civil society, in communities of local departments, we see this happening. And we train a lot.
Tell me what is going to, as they look towards the final results, does it make a difference in terms of women's rights which groups get the biggest majorities in parliament? Is there a difference between, for instance, who might impose a stricter or less strict version of Islamic law? What in that regard are women looking out for now?
One of the important issues I think women in Iraq are concerned with is the personal status law. It's one of the articles that are to be debated in the next parliament. So I think Iraqi women are truly interested to keep this current personal status law. But without training, even professional candidates who will be in parliament on how to lobby, how to make their own bloc, women bloc. Iraq have a quota. Women quota. It's a two-edged sword for us, yes, but it has to stay because we've seen the difference.
Let's just take those point by point. First of all, what is the personal status that they're interested in looking at?
It's what's regulated our lives for the past 6 decades. It was issued in 1959. It's considered one of the most advanced family laws in the region. It depends and based on Sharia law, but takes the best for the benefit of women and family. So I think it was very difficult for us as Iraqi women in 2004 when they tried to issue Order 137 to demolish this law. The personal status law paved the way to mixed marriages, to more rights for women, and we need to develop it.
Basma, has the quality of women who presented themselves for election in terms of professionalism and qualifications, has it improved since the last round of elections?
Well, we've seen many of them have improved, with many of them, but with many who have very strict, and mainly the conservative blocs, it was very hard, even negotiation. Always the priorities of the bloc comes first. Pushing for a bloc for women inside the parliament that's formed from different blocs was very difficult. Okay. But this is actually what we intend to do.
All right. Asma Al-Khatib, thank you so much for joining us from Baghdad today. And next, we'll be talking to our special panel. While women in the Islamic world have made great strides in recent years, they still face major barriers.
Women are still the majority of the world's poor, unhealthy, underfed, and uneducated. They rarely cause violent conflicts, but too often bear their consequences. Women are absent from negotiations about peace and security.
In the name of preserving so-called family honor, women and girls are shot, stoned, burned, buried alive, strangled, smothered, and knifed to death with horrifying regularity.
Dr. Isra Tawalbe is Jordan's first female forensics expert. She says she sees around 20 cases of honor crimes a year. All the murderers, often male family members, have no remorse.
He's convinced that he's a hero, and he protects the honor of the family.
In some cases, she says, the killers even proudly turn themselves in.
I record a case that he cut the head of his sister and he brings just the head for the police station.
Until recently, many of those standing trial for crimes like these pleaded guilty under a Jordanian law that recognizes crimes committed in a fit of fury. They served just 6 months in prison.
We are always in breaking the silence for the victim, either alive or dead body, and we are going to start to talk on behalf of them.
The honor killings we just heard about are just one example of women's struggle for equality in parts of the Islamic world. Women's rights have advanced in many Muslim countries, but women still suffer from more inequality than anywhere else. Joining me now, 3 women who've made it their mission to promote gender equality. The president and CEO of the Women's Learning Partnership, Mahnaz Afkhami. She's a former Minister for Women's Affairs in Iran. Asma Khader, who is Secretary General of the Jordanian National Commission for Women and a former Culture Minister. And Lina Abou Habib, Executive Director of a Lebanese organization that tries to empower women. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on this Women's Day around the world. You've just been participating in the UN conference, Status of Women, 15 years after the first, Beijing. Where do you think women's issues and women's rights and gender equality stands today compared to 15 years ago? Briefly, Mahnaz.
I think we have reached a much higher status than we had 15 years ago. There are many, many more women empowered in politics and high-level decision-making. Many, many women, younger women, are working. Even in the Middle East, where rights are challenged, there are sometimes more women in universities than men, such as in Iran. 60% university attendance by women. So we have come a long way.
So those are all the good things.
Good things.
Lina, what are some of the places women are still lagging behind in your region?
I think they're still lagging behind in terms of legal reforms. Our laws are still discriminatory vis-à-vis women. I think the family laws, we're not going fast at all. Actually, in some places, we're not even moving on family laws, and that is going to be a serious concern for women.
And Asma Khader, in Jordan, and we just saw that clip of something that unfortunately Jordan has been associated with, and that is honor killings. They also happen amongst Muslims in places like England, for instance.
And many other countries.
And many other places.
In fact.
But it's a big problem.
Yes, but there are really good news now. There is a new specialized criminal court that is reviewing these cases, and the latest judgments were all of them over 10 years imprisonment.
And that's real, is it?
It is a real improvement in the situation.
And does that legally protect women against honor crimes?
Well, partly yes, because the judges at the courts have this flexibility to use the litigation sentences reasons. But still, we are lobbying for raising the minimum sentences in the law itself. And I think it's coming.
So lobbying and greater political activism by women in the region is paying dividends.